Welcome to Maker's Journey Workshop. I'm Benjamin Davies, and today we're making vases. Look at this little guy here. It didn't turn out perfect, but this was such a fun project. So much fun. There's so many cool things that you can do with pipe, and especially if you're just starting out as a blacksmith and maybe you're making some things for some trade shows or some farmers markets. When you forge 3/8 or just round bar all the time, everything begins to look like spaghetti noodles. But also you don't have the force of power hammers to really move some big materials, so you need to be creative. Kind of like what we do here on these plant hangers. Just a little piece of flat bar, works as a nice mountain plate. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. But this pipe today, so we start, it's a nice little vase, and you're able to do so much without forge welding, without tooling, just a little bit of time and isolated heat. If you have a torch, that's going to be a tremendous help to you. It's going to allow you to isolate your heat. Maybe you have an induction forge, even better. Maybe all you have is a forge, that's okay too. Be mindful of your location, your heat, and let me tell you this one thing really important, really quick. Pipe is super dangerous to forge. Not so much the forging process, but when you go to quench it. Here's what happens whenever you go to quench hot pipe. Scalding, boiling water it shoots out. So make sure whenever you quench hot pipe that it's pointed in a safe direction away from you. We go pretty slow here, and you'll see in some of the background shots maybe. Where I'm actually quenching it. Just be careful, take your time, let the pipe drain out, and don't get burned. Other than that, it's a really cool material to forge that you don't see that often. Question! Hey fella! What's the starting stock size? Some people, so impatient. All right, today we're starting with schedule 40, 1 inch, schedule 40. What does that mean? That pipe's bigger than 1 inch. 1 inch refers to the inside diameter, and the schedule refers to the thickness of the wall. But for us, it's just a pipe to forge. I like the schedule 40 because it was a nice thick wall, and I thought it would be heavy enough to not fall over when we stuck our rows in it. All right, y'all tired of hearing me talk? Me too. Let's get at it. Yep, we're using the vise. I usually like to do this in the shelf of the anvil, the little cutting pad that sits down below, and I use that to cradle the pipe so I don't crush the pipe as I draw this taper. But I thought the vise would be a nice workaround for this in case maybe you're working on a chunk of steel like me or a piece of railroad, whatever. If you're one of those people that's just got the can-do attitude and they're making do with what they got, awesome. I'm gonna show you as many workarounds as I can. Well, whenever I was taught to forge, one of the big mistakes that I was taught that beginners make is as they forge, as they're coming down, they glance the hammer off like it's going to grow the taper better. It will not. That's called smearing the metal. That's what I've heard it called. Maybe you call it something else depending on where you are. So you'll see, and I'll do it in slow-mo right here. So I'm coming in at a pretty aggressive angle, and whenever the hammer hits, it bounces off. So it may look like I'm trying to smear the metal. I'm not. I'm bringing that hammer in pretty aggressively. Throughout the rest of the video, I'm not making big, huge hammer swings. I'm making little taps. I'm trying to make sure my hammer blows are accurate as possible and that I don't crush the pipe. So take that into consideration. So as I was forging that, I probably had too much of it resting on the ridge, the edge of the anvil, and it started to fuller with the edge of the anvil, and we started a little crease right there. That's not what I had in mind for this vase. I didn't really draw it out ahead of time. I just had an idea of what it somewhat should look like in my head, and I started making it. I was more excited about showing you how you could upset, how you could close off pipe, how you could taper pipe. I was about a perfect design. So here's the workaround. We're going to exploit that fuller a little bit more, and then we're going to crush it down. That's pretty cool, isn't it? It kind of looks like a two-piece pipe now, and without having looked in the inside yet, you might be like, well, that's a pretty cool connection. How does he make that? That's what I would think at first. Getting so excited about making that workaround, we forgot to do one thing. Check our inside diameter to make sure that our rosewood still fit. It doesn't. But it's okay. I know a workaround for that too. What we're going to do here is we're just going to drill it out. I didn't think 5/16 would get done, so now we're going to use the 3/8. Well, that's scary. Oh, did I mention that odd shaped stuff doesn't really chuck up in the vise well? Be careful. All right, so we got the 3/8 hole dug. Let's make it fit. Oh, it's a bit of a snug fit. Well, that's disheartening. That doesn't fit either. So you should be discouraged right now and get frustrated and stop exactly where you're at. Go ahead and throw that in the scrap bin, get the construction paper out, and start writing your best love card, your best Valentine's Day card. Ben loves Vicky. XOXO. Not. So there's always a solution until there's not anymore. You might get to a point to where there's no way to fix it. That's okay. Start over, salvage what you can, learn. Hold on to some of these first things that you make, because you'll look back and you'll cherish them. Because one of the things that I forget all the time when I'm discouraged or not as far along as I'd hope to be, everybody started somewhere. Everybody went through this step. Maybe some people went through it quicker. Maybe some people went through it slower. Enjoy the process. It's pretty cool. It's where the magic happens. So second workaround. Really, this is a pretty difficult workaround. You might not have the skill level yet to do this last workaround. I want you to work within your safety zone and your comfort zone. Don't overdo it for yourself, okay? So if this next step is too hard for you, wait until you get a little more experience and then try it. I'm gonna go ahead and show it to you. Yeah, so you just cut the end off. Oh, and then you grind it. Yeah, really difficult stuff there. Anyways. All right, moment of truth, take 2. All right. Oh, will it stand? But will it cut? No, it's not a knife. I'm pretty pleased. I think that's a cool gift. Is it perfect? Nope. Is it the best looking thing I've ever made? Not even close. Did I have a lot of fun doing it? You bet. One of the most frustrating things to me starting out as a blacksmith, when I'd watch YouTube videos, I'd get really excited to watch some of these guys because there's so many talented smiths out there, and I would see them execute something flawlessly. And I would go and try it, and I would repeat the steps just like they did. Maybe I didn't have the hammer technique yet. Maybe I wasn't as skilled. They rehearsed it. Maybe they've got years of experience underneath their belt. But invariably, they never turned out like they did in the video. But it would have been nice to see some of those mistakes along the way. So we're going to show you some of our mistakes. Some of these things we'll rehearse, but I believe the mistakes are just as important because a lot of what I've learned along the years are learning how to pivot and handle mistakes. I love this little transition right here because it does look like 2 pieces. I wish it was centered, and I could have gone back and made you one that was perfect. And that way you felt bad when you were hammering out an imperfect one at home. But I want to show you some imperfect stuff. I think that's where the strength is, in your mistakes. All right, I guess it's time for closing arguments. So, I can't think of any good reason why you're not smashing that subscribe button right now as we speak. So, hello, talking to you. Anyways, hope y'all like this. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hope you're inspired. Get out there and make one for the loved one in your life. I think this is a pretty cool combination right here that gets to combine a couple pieces of work. I mean, how cool is that? What a conversation piece. You start getting into something in a hobby and somebody's like, hey, what'd you make? Well, my husband made me that. What do you mean he made that? Well, he made that. If you don't have time to order the blanks, be creative. Print out a stencil off the internet. I'll post one below for you. And then you take a glue stick, like back in your construction paper card days, and you glue it to the metal, and then you can cut it out with a bandsaw or an angle grinder or a chisel. Be a can-do person. Get out there and make some mistakes. Thank y'all so much for being here. And as always, please, smash the subscribe button. See y'all. Smash that subscribe button.